Awesome. Okay, so welcome to our Black and Cardio Life podcast episode. Episode? No, it's only one, so it's not an episode, is it? Our
There
one-off
might be
special.
two.
Might be two. Okay. Well, the first ever Black and Cardio Live podcast. Um, Stay tuned for more information in the future. My name is Jason. I am one of the co-organizers of Black and Cardio, and I'm delighted to have two of our co-organizers here, Adama and Catherine. So, this conversation, we are going to talk all things not sciencey. Just I have a few topics that I'd like us to discuss, and we'll just see how it goes. My first question, Adama, is so you started the catalyst in you. What was the idea behind it?
So for people that don't know, The Catalyst in Me is my blog, and it started because I didn't want to do medicine anymore. And then I started looking for careers outside of medicine because I chose my uni based on the fact that I could get into medicine at the end. But in second year, I was like, no, I don't think that's for me. And while I was looking, I kept on finding that the resources weren't enough for me to make a decision that was better than medicine. Everything was
Mm.
like, you can only be a researcher. Now I know that's like so vast and it's not a bad thing, but it was either only research focused. At the time, I didn't really know what research was. So I was like, meh. And then there was stuff like go into finance, go use transferable skills, but it wouldn't really explain why. So then I started asking people just about their journeys and questions to more help myself. And I was like, you know what, these people are giving their time and their effort. So it'll be nice to share it. I started asking friends. So I asked like my medic friends, my friend that did pharmacy, just asking like, why did you choose your course? Because I realized that information just wasn't out there in the way I wanted to read it. So I decided, why not just make it how you want to read it? Yeah.
That's quite funny actually. Not funny, but that's quite interesting actually because when you look at a lot of like businesses, that's usually how it starts. So they start when they notice that there's a need for something, like they realize that they need something, and then they realize it's not out there. To like, oh, you know what, I might as well go and set it up for myself, and also to also help other people who may be in the position to want to find out more or want to use the product or whatever it may be. Um, Catherine, I'm going to bring you into this conversation and ask you. So, this is very so outside of being a postdoc, because being a postdoc is quite a busy job. It's not necessarily a 9 to 5. It's um, sometimes you're in the weekend, sometimes you're in nights. How do you manage? Like, what else do you get up to when you're not in the labs or when you're not doing work?
So thank you, Jace, for this question. So as you said, when you're a postdoc, you just want to make sure that everything is going on perfectly. You want to be on top of everything at all time, and so we do struggle to find a work-life balance. But what I'm always looking for during the weekend is a run. I usually go on like a long run on Saturday and Sunday. I'll go on a hike with friends. But running is my go-to things, and I particularly love running because that is the time that I basically get my mind free of everything, or I think about a little point that I got upset about something. I'll process that during the run. I love doing long distance runs. So usually on Saturday morning, I'm just gonna put my running shoes, put my running gear, if I can say like that,
Yeah.
and go out for a 12-mile run, 10, 12, sometimes 14, 16-mile runs. I don't know how
Wow.
much that make in kilometers, but like 12 mile it's closer to 20 kilometer, and 15 mile is close to 28 kilometer. So I would just go out and run, and I call that run exploration. So and I live in I live at Stanford in Palo Alto area here in California, and there is a lot of open space for that. I'm lucky that I do have the opportunity to go out and just run around. You have like a lot of open preserve. You have a lot of park just around my house, just around Stanford. I can go to the Stanford dish, which is a 3.5 mile loop. I can do that like 3 times and then I come back. I can go. I can go from my place to another park where I have beautiful views. But anyway, I have a lot of options, and I found that whenever I will go for a run, it's really great because I'm like breathing the air, and thinking about a lot of stuff, thinking about my future, being obsessed about myself, and then about everything else. But and then in the end of the run, I really feel great. I'm really tired, but I feel like I've done a lot.
Gotcha. I think you mentioned something which I can really relate to a lot, which was, so you talked about it helps you think. Going for runs helps you think, and it helps you kind of like process things. And I think I found that out this year a lot. So basically, when lockdown happened and we couldn't do anything, so to bring it back, I'd actually torn my hamstring at the beginning of the year in a race, so I couldn't run. But I found out that I was like, when lockdown first happened, I was very, very stressed, as in like I couldn't get a good pattern, a good schedule of like work life, like working and stuff. And obviously in a lockdown, there's no rules for lockdown. You try to survive and you're trying to focus on your mental health or whatever. I found out that when I started to go out for walks every day after like studying for the whole day or doing work or whatever, when I went for a walk and listened to music, that basically changed my pattern of it helped me stress less. It helped me work better because I wasn't anxious about kind of like working in this whole lockdown situation. So how else would you look after your mental well-being, and what advice would you give to other people? Because I found out that going for runs and listening to some of my old favorite albums really helped me a lot. So what advice would, in your view, to give to people to work on their mental well-being?
I would say, don't forget that your health come before everything. So we tend to just think that if we don't accomplish what we have to do, it's the end of the world. That's not true. If you are sick, you won't be able to do anything. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend something specific to someone, because I'm a workout addict. I know I love my run. I love going to the gym. I love doing workout. And I know that doesn't work for everyone. Some people just work they just like painting or just watching something. So all I would say, if my best advice is, find something that will make you forget about the stress that you encounter during your work for 10 minutes and stick on that thing, because that is the best time for you. That is the best time to like get away from your head and your work, whatever that is. Even if it's like watching movie, I think it's still fine. Something that make you feel good. Find something that will make you feel happy and proud of yourself, regardless of whatever is going on around. Just one thing, and stick on that thing. Take 10 minutes of your time. Remind yourself that you are a great person, regardless of anything that is happening around. You are a great person, and you are the only one who know how hard you've been working to get to the point where you are going. No one else can say anything else. And if it's not enough to be able to say that to yourself, just find one thing. If it's just like drawing, painting, watching an episode of your favorite movie, going out for a walk, just sit in the park or sit somewhere and look at the sky. Just one thing that is not related to your work, and that will help you just get out of this world for 10 minutes.
Gotcha. And Adama?
I think I agree with both. Okay, I agree with both of you. Before lockdown and stuff, I know I used to go to the gym quite like religiously. I'm like, yeah, but it was because it was the only place when I went for an hour, my brain was empty. So maybe 10 minutes going in and I'll be like, okay, yeah, everything's like stressing me out. But then 30 minutes, 40 minutes in, I'm not thinking of anything. And that was the only time I could like take to myself and not think of a single thing, not think of what deadlines do, how I'm feeling, my future, just focus on pain. And it kind of like, it was important to me. Then in lockdown, I realized I enjoyed the activity of going to the gym more than the actual activity of physical exercise, which was quite interesting to understand because that's when I realized gym was an escape for me, and it wasn't really only doing it for fitness. So I did it for fitness, but I stayed because it was such a good escape for me. And even doing home workouts got difficult because I was at home where all my stress was. I liked leaving, I liked going, so then I started going for walks. And then I'd gone for walks before, but my walks are usually where I kind of brain dump. So I'll take my phone, write in my notes everything that's stressing me out, and like brain dump. And I found whenever I did that, I felt much better when I came home. So for me, leave the environment that kind of stresses you, because in lockdown I saw the four walls of my room and it was a lot. So just leaving the environment and finding little random things to do. And as you said, you know how much effort you put in. I think there was a time that I really wrote on my notice board, it's okay to not be okay, because I was just tired. There was no other motivation left in me. There was nothing left. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to acknowledge I'm not okay right now, but I'll be better later. But I think a lot of people try and push away the fact that they're not okay. Sometimes you can accept that, you know what, right now you're not okay, and it's okay. It's completely fine. So yeah, exercise, accepting that situations can be difficult and you're allowed to sulk, you're allowed to be sad, but also knowing that you should kind of push yourself or reach out. So in pushing yourself is like doing, I don't know, me eating was a goal. I was like, okay, make sure you have food, make sure you do this. So setting little goals until you make like bigger goals, that helped me a lot. Yeah, and then reaching out to people.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that, saying that it's okay not to be okay, because, and my question is, do you think social media plays a part in this whole I have to be happy all the time? Like I feel like sometimes there's this narrative of like life is good all the time, and you have to have this, you have to put on this face of like everything is great all the time, even though you have £3 left in your account, you're eating Indomie every day for like 2 weeks straight, nothing's going well, but you have to pretend that it's okay. Do you think social media plays a part in this, and how do we navigate away from that?
I think definitely, especially, I don't know, for my age group and stuff, just seeing people do, I guess, so amazing, buying all these like really expensive stuff, living their best life, going on holiday and doing all of that, you kind of think, oh, everyone's really happy, but you forget that people only post their happiest moments. People only post when they're good. People only post when they're up. So if you're out there scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, thinking, oh my gosh, this person's doing amazing, it gets you being sad. And I realize like I don't want to say I have like a negative outlook on life, but I complain a lot. Like, I just like to complain. So the littlest inconvenience, I would complain. And in that sense, it's just acknowledging that sometimes it's okay to be frustrated and irritated. So even with my blog and stuff, it can look sometimes that, oh my gosh, Adama knows what she's doing. She's interviewing all these people, but I'm like, no, I'm stressed right now, really, really stressed. So having that balance, I think if you have like if you have any type of platform, showing that sometimes you're upset might be better, or limiting your access to certain people. So if you know somebody on social media kind of makes you feel really shit about yourself constantly, I say unfollow them, mute them for a little bit until you feel better. Because if you can pinpoint that, okay, because I'm seeing this person do so well, and there's no reason why you should be angry that they're doing well, because they're allowed to do well. But if it's making you upset, you have the right to like unfollow them, block them, remove, like, or delete Instagram itself. But sometimes keep your circle small, keep it to your friends that you know you won't harbor like negative thoughts for, because you can see these celebrities doing the most and you really just want to be like, I'm not doing anything. But I would say just unfollow them and you won't see them anymore.
I hear that. Catherine?
I want to echo everything that Adama said, and one thing very, very important in our world of today is that we tend to use social media as the template of our life.
Mm.
It's completely wrong, because the template of our life is a mix of a whole bunch of things. So how will you enjoy your happiness if you haven't struggled? You, to really enjoy your happiness, like, you acknowledge how much happy you are because you feel like you've worked hard to get there. And
Mm.
working hard means that you feel bad, you feel sad, you have to push yourself, you feel it doesn't work, and you have to acknowledge that it's not working, you have to try something different. That is just what life is. If we like, let's take the example of a kid. You don't a kid's like a newborn is not, doesn't work just right away. It takes time, and even when they try to work, they like, it's step by step. And unfortunately, the mom will post only, or the parent will post only the picture of the kids like running around, and you will feel like, oh, that was so easy, that was so nice. But like, the point is, there is nothing necessarily easy in the life. Even if you think it's easy for you, it's probably very hard for someone else. And just acknowledging that there is nothing easy in the life will make you understand that the person who you're seeing on social media is actually just showing the best part of his life instead of showing with all the struggle. So and I really do agree with Adam. We tend to hide our struggle because we feel like we are ashamed of it. But the problem is that struggle is not a shame. Struggle is just a way of building the thing to the point where we're going. Otherwise, it's not a struggle anymore. That's why we call it struggle, because there are difficulties, and we have to acknowledge that. And difficulties come with mental breakdown. So when it's not working, it's fine to just like stop and break it all down and to cry or do anything that will make us feel like, okay, and even if it make you feel ashamed of yourself, that is just fine. Just get to that bottom, just cry, just get it all out. And and then once you feel like, you'll be like, okay, I'm exhausted of like complaining about myself, I'm exhausted of crying, now I have to move to the next step, and that will bring you back on the next step. And if that doesn't work, look for help. Find people that understand you, but not social media, unfortunately. Everything but social media. I mean, at least for myself, I don't necessarily use social media, things like Facebook or any, to find inspiration in terms of like getting back to my feet. I often will look around to find people that understand where I'm getting at, that understand me, and that listen, people who listen to me. I'm just there to, sometimes you just need someone to listen to you. No judgment, no advice, just listening. And then once you get that out, you feel relieved. And the fact that you talk about it make you feel relieved and actually find solution. But I wanna stress out what Adama said. It's important that when you feel like it's not working, just acknowledge that it's not working and cry it out, get it out of yourself, and then find your strength to try another thing. But one thing that is important is try as much as you can. And if you feel like it's not working, yes, you can. I mean, sometimes it's just okay to give up on something to try not something else. I think we kind of always tell ourselves, oh no, you cannot give up, you cannot, you have to. Sometimes you just need to give up on that specific thing and rethink about it and get a better solution. So I want to come back to what Adama was talking about when she said, well, I chose my university because I wanted to go to med school, and then I found that that was not something made for me. So a lot of people will tell her, no, you cannot give up. You cannot let the university define whether or not you're going to go into that field. I would say that too. But in the end of the day, I think we have to step back and try to understand where she's coming from. how is she feeling? Is that the only reason who's pushing her outside of that? And maybe there is other solution out there where she'll be much more happier. So it's all about acknowledging where we are at, take time to cry out of this, give up if it's necessary to give up once you feel like you've tried all you can, and then come back with a better solution and you will be your better self. And so and look for help. So that's what I think are the most important.
I think that's really interesting. I think it's funny that you both mentioned about like the impact of social media and everyone putting like their best, like you're basically putting your best life out there. Like when things I look at social media as like the highlight of your life, because I know for a fact that I only put, maybe if I'm traveling on holiday, or that's when I post on like Instagram or whatever. If I'm bogged down and I'm stressed with so much going on, I'm not gonna go and put it on social media. So I know what my posting habits is like on social media. So I assume that everyone else is also putting their best life. But I think a lot of people don't understand that, and they think that like me going to the Shard, I've saved up for a whole year to go to the Shard one day. That means that's me going to the Shard every day. They don't realize that it's this is like the highlight. This is not an everyday reality. And I think that a lot of people need to realize that. And I definitely do think that people need to unplug from social media regularly if they can. I think I found out that I was spending so much time literally on Instagram or whatever. So what I did was I started taking regular breaks where maybe I'd go a week without going on Instagram, or and then what I started to do as well is that I started to unfollow so many like accounts that I thought, you know what, this isn't helping my mental state, because I'm looking at like this gossip TV channel, this gossip, like talking about this celebrity or this person. I'm like, this isn't actually helping my life at all. So I basically I unfollowed all these accounts and only followed wholesome accounts where it was inspirational. You're looking at, even if it's like nice pictures of like, there's a Instagram account called Earth where they take nice pictures of like different places around the world and stuff. And so when you see stuff like that, you're seeing wholesome things regularly, as opposed to who cheated on who with this celebrity and blah blah blah. And also just like people are trying to compare their lives with social media stars and celebrities and all that, not understanding that they're living a different lifestyle to you. So I just think I think this year has taught a lot of us that we need to work on our well-being and our mental state. It's been and we've had to realize that all the things that we thought were important before, it's shown us that those things aren't as important. And actually the things that we took for granted, the basic things, your like socializing with your friends, going outside, exercising, all those things that we don't necessarily think are important or that big a deal, are the things that we really value this year. What's one thing that you found that you've like you didn't realize how much you missed until you couldn't do it this year?
I think one thing was how important friends. No, I think I always knew how important friends were, but I didn't realize how important, like really realize how important me meeting them was. But because I will go months without seeing a lot of my friends, because a lot of them just don't live in the UK or they don't live in London. So I'll go months. But now knowing that I couldn't plan a date to see them, that really annoyed me. And then I think a weird one is my appreciation for buying clothing. Like it didn't stop. And I thought maybe after a while it will stop, like, okay. But then I've learned a lot of my coping mechanisms. I realized shopping is like a huge coping mechanism of mine. So in the pandemic, I bought more stuff knowing I'm not going to go anywhere. And I think it's just made me realize a lot of things about myself that you don't pay attention to, because you think you're getting stuff because, oh yeah, I have somewhere to go. But then when you have nowhere to go and you're still doing these things, you realize, okay, I do this to feed a habit or to suppress a feeling or to just feel happy for a few minutes. And I think that's what I've realized. And another thing I've appreciated, just people, like I think it's just actually being around people is like a huge thing for me. Just people and that human connection in person, I think. Yeah.
So for me, I would say the same. Friends, people. I think like the social. I like for my PhD, for my postdoc here at Stanford, we do a lot of. I've been involved into a lot of social activities. And social gathering and like happy hour and a whole bunch of things. And that I took that so much for granted because I knew I'm gonna be seeing my friend all the time. We're gonna be doing things. I will see people around all the time. But like with the shutdown, I realized how much important it was to have connection, just to see people around. I agree. And also I also did realize how I miss being in the gym. And I just like the being in the gym was more of being there. I do love working out and I do a whole bunch of things, but I realized how much that was playing an important part of my life, because just having all those options was great. I could complain about a whole bunch of things in the gym, but like the fact that I was not able to get in there, well, yes, and yeah, social interaction, having the choice. I think I miss just the fact that I cannot make that choice. It's a little annoying. And yeah, so unfortunately I don't miss the I used to love going for like I do a lot of window shop, and especially it's so weird because I love running. So on the weekend I would just go for a run and end my run in the store, and then just like roam around a little bit, which is people will be like, why are you doing that? But I just found that very interesting because like it's my freedom. And right now all I will do is go do the run and come back. So I have to design my whole weekend completely differently. I do not miss buying stuff, but I do miss people interaction. I just miss being walking next to people and not be like, okay, I have to put my mask, or I have to be like 6 feet away from that person. So just the I think the social interaction is the thing that I miss the most. And having my lab mate just in the lab and talking all day, and like, yeah.
Gotcha. I think I for sure missed. So I was the kind of friend who used to say no to a lot of like events. So when people are like, "Oh, do you want to come here?" I'm like, "Nah, sorry, I've got this, I've got that." And then I remember saying to one of my friends, "Listen, when lockdown is over, everything, sign me up for it. I'm there. Like, I'm going to everything. I'm going to be at every event, every party, everything." Because being locked up in your house and not having the opportunity to do all these things, you really missed it. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to every single thing. I want to switch the conversation a bit and talk about this year. I think, well, actually, we didn't talk about this year, but actually talk about stuff like Black Lives Matter, um, the End SARS campaign in Nigeria, and all the different things that are happening in the African continent as well. And I just think that this year has just been a really, really stressful. Like, well, life is already stressful as a Black person, but I think this year there's just been so much. There's since the George Floyd incident all the way to what's happening in Nigeria now, and what's happening in Congo, and all these different places. How do you think, like, we know that it's affecting us because we're seeing people like us get killed on social media. We're seeing all these things. So how do you cope um as a like as a as a Black person who's still having to work? Like, you're seeing these things on social media, but then the next day you have to carry on at work normally. How has that been for you?
I think just to add, I think everything that's been happening is just it's unimaginable. But then when we pause, we have to remember that these aren't things that just started happening in 2020. It's just that a lot more of the world has had time to really pause and see it. Because with the NSARS stuff, this didn't start like in October. This didn't start a year ago. This is something that's been happening. With the stuff in Congo, like this has been happening. With a lot of things that's been happening with police brutality in general. This is things that have been happening. And it's just that people have really had the time to pause and realize, oh my gosh, this is happening, and have the time to also act on it. So I think we've all kind of had to live our lives in a way before that we just ignored it anyway. But now it's like we can't, even when we see it and we pause and we try to move, we can't really move because there's nothing to occupy you again, to like keep your mind going. So you have everybody has a lot more time to really reflect and really realize what's happening. I think it's everything happening got me to think back to when, it's going to sound really weird, but when I first identified fully as Black, you get what I mean? Because I grew up in Sierra Leone. So when you would ask me, I'd be like, I'm Sierra Leone, and that's it. Like, that's the end of the conversation for me. I didn't think, like, in my head, I never had to process a lot of other things until like I fully like settled here and like lived here for a long time after like A levels. So it's like, it's just, I think I'm still processing it. I don't think I can say there's a way to kind of deal with it. I think I'm still processing it. With the NSARS, just heightens it, because then it just makes you realize how messed up the world is. And you try and live in a bubble, and you can't really live in your bubble for your whole life. You can't really escape anywhere, because you're living here and you know police brutality. I say here, it's the UK, but UK, US, back to where you're quote unquote from. Let's Nigerians going back to Nigeria. Nigerians in Nigeria are still struggling with things like this, and then you wind it all back down to like the whole African continent, how things are just corrupt on a very large scale. So even if you want to say, because you hear these Twitter jokes of, yeah, everybody's going to move back home. Where are you moving to? What are you moving to? There are other people there that are struggling. You're just going to like displace them. And so I think in this time, everyone is thinking like, where do you fully belong? And I think that's what's really heavy for everybody that is Black and going through this. It's like, where do I, like, how, what do I do? What do I process? So I think it's just acknowledging that this is, it's just hard. I don't know. Maybe Catherine has tips on how to process it, because I'm just still going through it.
Especially Catherine, you've been especially you being on the state side as well. Like, what's been your experience? I think that'll be very interesting to know.
So, so I would say I've been living all this the same way as you. Of course, it was a little bit heavier here, and so I just wanna echo what Adama said. All those things have been happening for a long time. So it's not new. The only thing this pandemic has made people realize is that we have our eyes open to the world when nothing else was happening. So we were forced. So the world was forced to see the reality that the world didn't want to see before. So so with the George Floyd, that literally happened in the moment where it was the shutdown in the whole world. There weren't any sport happening. There weren't anything happening to distract people from that. So, and then they realize, oh, this is actually something that has been happening. And Black people are like, well, we've been trying to tell you that for a long time now. I'm glad that you can say it by yourself. I'm glad that like you don't have any distraction, and then you can say it. And I just have to acknowledge that at least I was happy to see that the world acknowledged this, and people kind of came together to be like, yeah, this is a problem and we have to work together to fix it. How it has been working together to fix, well, this is politics. We don't want to get into there, but just to acknowledge that people have seen that, and then they take that, they do the way they take it, and they do what they want to do with it. We can change that part. What we can do is what we've been doing with our movement with Black in Cardio, to be like, well, we are here doing great job, we are here doing amazing work, and we want you to see us. We want people to see that we do all this work, and we need representation. We need to be we need to be in the room where it's happening. So otherwise, how would you want it to change when you are not in the room where it is happening? So yeah, so in terms of coping, well, we've had a lot of, I think this was, at least for us in since we've been locked down at home. So we've been having conversation about this, and I'm glad I wasn't just by myself to have to deal with this, but we've been having a conversation every day. Like that was like that was an entire month of conversation after conversation, education, conversation. And that was, at least for myself, it was helpful. Now to go back to, and also at Stanford, you see that the leader are like, where we see this, we see they organize some like peaceful protests, and not really, yeah, and just like, the time where all people like Stanford all over came together and be like, we are one hand against this. But again, we have to acknowledge, but we have to move forward. A lot of things has been tried. A lot of initiative have been starting. I don't necessarily want to talk about all those because I think it's not necessarily my area, and I'm not necessarily qualified to talk about those. But if we come back to what is happening somewhere else outside of America, and especially in Africa, I'm from Cameroon, and we've been having a war in the Anglophone area for a long time, and we've been like police brutality. We've like some story has been going on. Like there is a story of like a young student in medicine that was just shot by a police officer I earlier this year, and like I don't know how the government did with that. So I don't want to talk about politics, but I want to acknowledge that things are not going well there also. So when SAR is going on in Nigeria, we're having like a lot of Anglophone from Cameroon have moved to Nigeria because like things are like, and well, like it just makes me sad to think that like when you are a Black person in America, you say, oh, this is like oppression from white people, oppression, and like all this, and like there is a history behind. But when you are in Africa, where you are all like, I mean, or not all African continent have Black people. We have North Africa, where we have Algeria, Tunisia, where there is a high predominance of white. But when it comes to, we also have like South African, but when it comes to like the sub-Saharan area, like Nigeria, like Senegal, and all those places where it's predominantly Black, it's kind of sad to see that people just keep on finding reason to like hate each other, and you're sitting there hoping that the government will do something to help, and then you just feel sad that every initiative that has been trying to make things better are not going anywhere. In Congo, you have the problem with like child abuse. You have like like it's everywhere. In Cameroon, you have like this Anglophone crisis that has been going on for years now, and things are not getting better. So it's and in Nigeria right now, you have like SAR. It's just sad. And I think for us as Black, whether you are in the country, whether you are in your motherland or outside, you just feel like you have this giant thing on your chest that you can't ever get it out. So we talk about struggle, right? We talk about how we cope with our own life while we are trying to do our best to give the best of our life. But then you have that other thing that is just like this giant brick on your chest that you can't get it out. because you don't have the power. I mean, at least by yourself, you don't have the power to get it out. You can do what you can, but it's there. But and you feel like you can't do anything. So the only thing you can do is to do what you can do on your end to make things better and pray and hope that it will get better one day. And the only way to deal with that is, again, find things that will make you happy, do what you can do on your end, and then move on until the next scan that will happen, and that will take us back right when we were. So, well, yeah, it's that's how it is. But and what you gonna do?
I think there's literally so much to unpack from what both of you have said. We could literally spend hours on each topic, but I want to bring it back to one thing that Adama said about when she moved from Sierra Leone to the UK and then realizing that, like, you know what, I'm actually black. I think I definitely got that realization as well at some point when I moved from Ghana to here, and suddenly the color of your skin plays a part in who you are. It's not about what you are as a person, but it's actually what you look like. And I think that was a weird thing to encounter and a weird thing to realize. And I find that, like, I found it so interesting that instead of, but then you also mentioned something, Catherine, which I think is also true. I think we as humans are always finding ways to divide ourselves, whether it's race, whether it's religion, whether it's like a tribe or something. There's always something that we find like a way to divide ourselves and to like distinguish one from another. And I think at some point we need to realize that there is power in unity, and for that to end and for that to occur, it means we need equity. We need to uplift the people who've had wrong done to them in the past, because we can't, like this. I don't really believe in equality per se, because I think when people say equality, it's a case of let's just forget everything and now from now on we're gonna move forward. But I don't think you can move forward until you've acknowledged what's happened in the past, and that's not just for like black people. That's also for like, different tribes in different countries where they've been done wrong in the past. I think all those things need to be addressed before we can move forward. And Adama, you also mentioned about the corruption in Africa. I think that is such a shame, because Africa is such a vast land with so many resources and so many amazing things in that continent, that the fact that it's exploited, and it just, for me, it never makes sense. For example, Nigeria has has oil, has this, has that. They have a huge population. I think maybe like top 5 human population in the world, which means they have the workforce, they have the materials to build something great. But that's not what we're seeing. And I think the mismanagement of all these African countries is also a reason why we get exploited year after year after year. Not just Nigeria, even Ghana. Sometimes I read what's happening. I read some of the decisions that these politicians have made, and I'm thinking, how the hell does that benefit anyone? And I think these people aren't held accountable for their decisions that they make. That it just keeps happening, and we just keep seeing people get exploited. It's just a mess, and it's
to add to your
like,
point, what you said, sorry, you said something about humans want to be divided. I think I've realized people find it harder to accept that people are different, and everybody wants everybody to be the same. So to flip your point on the head, if people just learn how to live with people and our differences, like, it's good for two places not to be the same. It's good for people to be different, because I realize everybody wants to act as if we're all the same and we can all be the same, but we're not. Like, in the terms of even saying men and women and this and that, it's like people really struggle with acknowledging different people need different things. Like, we are different, and if we all work together with our differences, I think we'll work better together, as opposed to trying to find everybody that's similar. Because even me and my sister, like, are in the same family, we are different. We're not the same person. We're not the same people because we come from the same family. But I think just a lot of things when it comes with human beings, everybody wants us to be seen as the same, and oh my gosh, we're similar in this sense. But it's appreciating that, yeah, we are different. I'm Sierra Leonean, you're Ghanaian, and Catherine's from Cameroon. Like we're different, but look at us all doing stuff together, and we're using our different skills to like come with this central idea. If people thought more of, okay, let's get different people because they are different. But a lot of people like saying, let's get people that are the same in the same room doing the same things. Like a researcher needs to look like this and needs to do this and needs to act like this. Instead of saying all these people like science and they want to do research, let's get them in the room.
Yeah.
That should be the common goal, not like how you look and how you behave and stuff.
Yeah, I want to echo that so much because I think the reason I it's so powerful what you're saying is that we are all different, so we have to accept that. Actually, it's not that we have to accept that we are different. We have to be happy with the fact that we are different, and we have to remember we are different, but we are not we are. It's our different is what is great about us. We don't have to be. We don't have to take a one side. So what I'm trying to express here is people are different and they want to use their own personality and impose that to everyone else to be just like them. And the point of the life is that we are all different, but we want to be able to be happy with our difference and take that difference to combine to create a normal which is colorful. And I think that is the power of the world. So why do we all have to fit in the same box to be able to move? No, we have to work together, and because we are different shape, but if you try to look at each shape, you will see that each of our difference have a similarity with someone else, which make them combine. So since when you have like a multicolor, when you have a multicolor wall and then you have a unicolor wall, which one is the most attractive?
For sure.
People will always go for the multicolor wall because because it holds diversity. The unicolor is just one color. It's boring, but that's the power of humanity. We are different, so we have to embrace our difference, and we have to work together and take each things that is special about each people or each group to put that together to make something wonderful. Because in the end of the day, what we just want is, in the end of the day, we all are looking for happiness. So why do we have to destroy someone else's happiness to get our own happiness? Why do we just because we want to be the one who is right, why do we have to like stick on that specific things just because we want to be the person who is right? Like it's all about how can we work together to make sure that everyone is happy, or everyone cannot, maybe everyone will never be happy at the same time, which is okay, because it's sometimes okay to not be happy. But how about just working with each other to not harm the other one? So instead of working to destroy each other, how about working to unite people and move forward? So I think a lot of these issue everywhere, and I feel sad about it in Cameroon, because Cameroon is one of those countries with a lot of diversity. We have over 212 different languages. We have different tribes. We have so many diversity. We are so proud of that diversity when it comes to food, when it comes to culture. But when it comes to politics, it's taking another dimension. Why don't we also take that diversity and put into politics or put into anything to build a better environment for ourselves and for our future? Because what makes us very special, or what makes us what we are, when they say Africa in like miniature Africa, the way they say it is, it's the fact that just in that tiny little area, you you have a collection of culture from all over Africa just in that little area. So let's take that and build something great, for for our future, and put aside all this, like this ethnic, that people, and listen and take time to listen to people and understand where they're coming from, and understand what is painful, and then take that pain and see how we can take that pain away. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing for, I mean, it's the same thing everywhere. It's the same thing in a lot of our in a lot of our African countries. So I just feel like, if we could, if there were a magic stick that can just come somewhere, any of those places, and turn everyone brain into getting together instead of dividing each other, that would be amazing. Did I lost you all, or?
No, I can hear you.
Okay.
I agree. Like, yes, yes, and yes. I don't know if Jason's frozen.
I think he was freezing.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Virgin Media's doing me dirty, but it's okay. Yeah, I think you both mentioned some really great points, and I definitely agree with the fact that we need to celebrate our differences instead of trying to make everyone the same. Because there's that saying that, like, if God wanted everyone to be the same, he would have made everyone the same, but he made us all different for a reason. And we, like, so whether you're religious or not, like, take it how you want to take it. But I do believe in that in that sense that we're all different for a reason, and we need to celebrate that difference, and not, like, just because you're not a white male man doesn't mean you can't be a scientist, or just because you can't, like, I think we should bring people together and do what they can do, and not necessarily trying to push people into a certain field because of where they're from, or because of whatever. And it's I don't know, I just think, like, when people see someone who is different from them, doesn't look the same as them, they immediately don't trust them, and they think it's a problem. I think if we acknowledge that we all have different experiences, and we all come from different environments and different backgrounds, and we celebrate that, we can actually create amazing things. Because you might think, like Catherine, you might think a certain way because you've been through this. You've lived in this country. You've lived in Paris. You've lived in Cameroon. You've lived in the USA. You've lived in Algeria. Adama, you've lived in Sierra Leone. You're living in London or whatever. And I'll say wherever I've been, we all bring back all our different experiences. And maybe if we're to create something, I remember when I lived in Paris, I came across this. Or I remember when I lived in London, I came across this. Or when I lived in Ghana. Like, these are the things that we should be thinking about diversifying, like, all our workforces and stuff, because people from different backgrounds and different experiences will come with different ideas. And that's how we can't have everyone from Eton going to Oxford, blah blah blah, and because that's gonna be the same idea every single day. But if you're getting people from different parts of the world, different cultures, different backgrounds, they're gonna come with fresh ideas, and that is a great way for us to advance the human race. And I think people see that as a problem, but they need to realize that it actually will benefit everyone in the future. But hey, that's just my opinion. Unfortunately, this is the end. We've actually gone past the time limit, but it's okay. It's been a really good conversation.
We start on time then?
No, we didn't. But one thing I wanted to, like, so on my podcast, we always have a recommendation, which is recommend something that you're either watching or reading, or an app you're using, or just something you think other people may find interesting, or they might find helpful. So, Adam, I'll let you go first, and I'll let you recommend something.
I just finished. No, oh my gosh, wow! Light bulb moment. So top Netflix recommendation is called Abstract: The Art of Design. It's this show going through, like, designers and why they chose to do design and the importance of design. I'm kind of a little bit obsessed, and the episodes are just like a journey through the designer's life, but also their work. And like, if you're interested in like typography, so why letters are the way they are, how fonts can like evoke emotion in people, mixing, I think, biology and architecture, stuff like that. It's really, really cool. Second one, I guess, if you want to know a little bit more about Nigeria's history, watch The Journey of an African Colony, Nigeria. It was really good.
Oh, that looks
Made up
amazing,
now
actually.
because
I
it
need to
can be a
start
bit
that.
tricky. Really well. I think I'll watch it again, but might not be for great to be watching it right now because it will just anger you, because it angered me so much I had to like watch it in bits.
Okay.
And then lastly, what did I just finish watching? I just finished watching Ratched, and it was good. Won't say great, but it was good. But yeah, those are my three.
Okay, my three recommendation. Oh, sorry.
No, go on, Catherine. I was going to say you next.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So, if I have to recommend something to watch, I would say I started watching The Legend of Korra. It's an anime. I think I feel like I've been talking all about that all the time. It's very interesting. It's about a girl who is an avatar, and they have like she live in the world where they have like each tribe have a power for like airbender, you have earthbender, you have waterbender, you have firebender, and then the avatar is someone that can bend all those different elements. And her role is to save life and save each of those tribe. And she's very funny. She's a very bulk and like very physical person. She reminds me myself a lot. But it's very interesting. So it's called the Legend of Korra. So it's an anime on Netflix. That is, I've been watching that recently, and it's really great. Another movie, if I have to recommend, is The Witcher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that came out early this year, and I'm sure a lot of you've all heard about it. It's a very nice TV show, and I'm looking forward to the next season. What else in terms of reading? What can I recommend? Oh, the last books that it's been a while, but the last book that I really 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 enjoy was the books of Trevor Noah. I don't know if you're Born in Crime. Basically it's about his story, and how he was born and grow in apartheid, and then it's about his life, and I found it very funny. It's interesting. I mean, I love watching the Daily Show, and the little bit of sequence that he made, and his comedy sometimes. But that his book is it, and it's short, so you will get into it pretty quickly. So that is the book I would recommend to read. Sorry.
Okay, I'm back again. Awesome. I did catch all your recommendations. It's just my internet is acting up.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
My recommendation. So I'm going to start off with a book called Mastery. It is by, what's the name? Just left my head. Hold on, give me a second. I literally finished this like a couple of weeks ago. So my recommendation. Oh, by Robert Greene. So it's a really good book. It talks about how you can basically be a master in your field, and how we all go through the trainee stage or the apprentice stage, and like the steps you can go through to become the master. So for example, in our case, the trainee could maybe like a PhD student or a master student, and you want to get to like the mastery stage, which may be like a professor or something, and it shows you like kind of like how to be disciplined, and like what kind of steps you need to take to get to the top. I thought it was a really, really good book, and I recommend that to anyone, like no matter what you're doing in life. It has some really useful tips on like trying to achieve well in life. And the other thing I'm gonna recommend is a coach's playbook on Netflix. And so basically it is a 5 episode show where it basically interviews 5 coaches. So it was the coach of LA Clippers. He won an NBA championship with Boston. There's Serena Williams as coach. There's Jose Mourinho. There's I forgot a lady's name, a women's basketball coach from one of like the best teams in America. And the last one, I've forgotten who it was. But anyway, so these guys basically give tips on how to be a good coach. But actually, the tips are about life in general. So it's about how to 5 rules in life, and they all give different tips on how you can achieve well in life. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm all about the self-development books and self-development shows. So that's why I'm always recommending these kind of books and these kind of shows, because I find them really, really impactful. Another one, if you haven't seen, if you've been living under a rock and you still haven't seen it, is The Last Dance, which talks about the Chicago Bulls last year when they won the 6th championship in 1998. And that's a really, really good series, because it shows you, like, I get inspired by these kind of people, because it shows you that you can achieve well in life, and like the discipline and the drive that it takes to be the best at what you do. So those are my 2 recommendations. Do you guys want to plug your social medias or anything whilst we're at it?
If you stalk Black and Cardio, you'll find it.
Sorry?
Yeah, definitely would say Black and Cardio.
Yeah. Just
follow
share
us.
Black and Cardio with all your friends.
Yeah. I think Jason was freezing against
his internet, yeah.
And he's back.
I'm back, I think. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was saying, you guys want to, should we plug this? I was just want you guys want to plug your social medias, tell them about what's happening tomorrow. Or actually, wait, after this, we have Adama and Chichi, right? Doing a show. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Adama, tell us about what you're planning for next. I think it's gonna be right after this.
If I tell you, then it's gonna be like there's no mystery to it. So you just have to join and watch.
Fine. Okay, I will.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we're gonna end it there. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you had fun. I definitely thought it was a really good conversation, and definitely one that can be continued, and hopefully will be continued in the future.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for hosting us, and I think it was really
amazing.
Great. And looking forward to see what Adama is going to be doing pretty soon. And tomorrow we will have the Afrobeat dance class. Don't forget to join. And then we will have Serenity with Stan as well.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
It'll be a good day.